As a disclaimer, the views held in this video are purely speculation and not proven fact. Now, we all know Justin Bieber. This video is going to contain topics regarding Justin Bieber and his Yummy video. Now, we all know in the Yummy video, when Justin Bieber was recording and filming the video, he had an incredibly hard time filming. He was seen on the set laying on the floor, holding his head, some say crying, and it was just overall a little bit hard for viewers to watch and see, and made people speculate whether or not this video was related to something else. It was commonly held and common knowledge that the video had a deeper meaning, as the lyrics didn't really match up to the video other than, say, the food. Now, there was a bunch of posts that Justin Bieber made prior to launching the video, and in this launch, he posted photos of children and with the hashtag Yummy. Now, this led people and viewers to suspect that it had to do with the conspiracy theory Pizzagate. He also posted this Yummy post where Yummy was spelt with pizza and cheese. Now, that also related to the Pizzagate theory. This was a conspiracy theory that included big names within the U.S. government, and it had to do with this guy named James Alefantis. He posted these photos on his Instagram, and there was a lot more to it. I'm not going to get into it. If you want to do more research on your own, I would highly encourage that. Now, I do want to just touch on my theory here is that there is an ulterior message trying to be conveyed through this video, through symbolism, and also through some of the lyrics. I believe that the artist is trying to speak to his audiences as well as to other people. I've had several developments on who some of the people depicted in this video might be, and I could be off on a few of them, of course, because I am not familiar with the inside circles of the entertainment industry and celebrities, but I did my best. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and we're going to deep dive into the abyss of pop culture. The beginning scene of the Yummy video starts with Justin Bieber walking through the back kitchen of a hotel. There's flashing lights, seems similar-esque to the paparazzi, and then he steps into this wide room, and it pans to an image of children playing music. They all have very interesting outfits, and I just want to pause here. We're going to take a closer look at each one of these children and who they could possibly be representing. So first off, we have the boy who's dripping in diamonds. I just want to say it took me a really long time to find this photo, and when I seen it, I was like, that's uncanny. That has to be who it is. So anyways, I believe it's Harry Styles. Now, there's a couple other reasons for this, and I include them later on in the video, and we'll touch on that. But for now, I just want to touch on who these people might be. Next, we have this girl in the purple fur suit, and I just want to say that I believe that these characters here are showing people who grew up in the industry, who were young when they got famous. Everyone that I've included here got their fame at a young age. So Katy Perry, who wears purple quite often, and Rihanna, who has had lots of close relationship with Justin Bieber, and then Victoria Justice, who just notoriously wears purple, and was also a child star. So those were kind of my guesses. If you have a different guess, let me know in the comments. So this girl here in the pink and yellow skirt was actually the girl that led me to start deep diving this entire video. And the reason for that is because I noticed her Converse. She was the only one wearing different shoes from all of the other kids. And I actually used to follow Justin and Selena's relationship quite a bit. And I recognized that she used to wear Converse all the time. And so I Googled it, and I ended up finding these photos of her when she was on the runway or I guess not the runway, but a red carpet event in 2008, which is interesting because it was right around that time that her and Justin were kind of like beginning their music careers. So I do find that very, very interesting. I think it was only like a year later or two that she signed on with her record company. So here we have the girl in the red suit. Now, the red suit itself has been used on pop stars throughout our culture for a long, long time, and I have several guesses to who this could be pointing to. However, I do really think that it is one person in particular. So it does point to Miley Cyrus, also with nods towards Britney Spears, and also nods towards Ariana Grande. Now, all three of these girls have been very hypersexualized in the industry. They all got famous really young, and yeah, so it could be any one of these. However, I do think that it could very likely be Britney Spears because of the way that she's standing. Also, she was seen at Diddy parties, and Justin Bieber was also quoted saying, "We love you, Britney," on a post on his Instagram where him and Hailey, I believe, maybe dressed up as her for Halloween. There's also this scene where the girl looks over at Justin, and to me it seems like she could have been like trying to warn him. And Britney being older than Justin and having attended Diddy's parties, it's likely that she could have tried to warn him about the nature of those parties. Here we see the camera turn and we get a glimpse of people sitting at a table. On the table, there are glasses of red liquid, and in the background, there's these giant jelly molds. I want to touch on the red drinks because people do believe that this is showing that people like drink blood at these elite parties. And I also found some information on some of these jelly dishes. So ASEP is a meat jelly that consists of meat, broth, or stock. It's set and encases meat, seafood, vegetables, eggs, and it's also sometimes called geely, I don't know. And there's also another dish called turian. They're all kind of like jelly consistency served cold and in a mold form. ASEP is a source of nutrients like iron, vitamin K, vitamin A, fatty acids, zinc, selenium, magnesium, and phosphorus. It also has an amino acid called glutamine, which gives it the anti-inflammatory properties. Glutamine is the most abundant, naturally occurring, non-essential amino acid in the human body, and one of few amino acids that can directly cross the blood-brain barrier. Humans obtain glutamine through catabolism of proteins in food that they eat. In states where tissue is being built or repaired, like the growth of babies or healing from wounds or severe illness, glutamine becomes conditionally essential. Now, in human blood, glutamine is the most abundant free amino acid. We gain this from protein-rich foods like beef and chicken, fish, and dairy. One thing to note here, and I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but the one-letter symbol Q was assigned for glutamine. And it's interesting because, the whole Pizzagate thing surrounded and revolved around QAnon. So the plasma obtained from blood samples showed that glutamine concentration varies, generally making up 20% of the amino acids in our blood. Glutamine has a role in repairing damaged tissue. It stimulates collagen production and fuels new cell growth. In fact, it rapidly multiplies healthy cells, and they use glutamine as their preferred fuel source. Now, do people actually drink blood? We've all heard about vampires and it's been rumored for years, but do they really? Well, articles from BBC suggest that they do. If you would like to read these, you can pause and have a look. This source suggests that there are thousands of people in the United States alone drinking blood, and they do it for various reasons. It is very taboo, and they have seen miraculous health benefits from it. Back to the video. One of the first people identified in Justin Bieber's Yummy video was this woman eating French fries. Her earrings and glasses suggested that it was none other than Jenny McCarthy, who assaulted Justin Bieber on stage, and he was quoted saying, "I feel violated right now," in front of a crowd of people who laughed and clapped. We then get a shot of Justin Bieber's table. The first person to sit down is this woman wearing orange with a blue scarf. I believe this could be Barbara Walters. She is quite a bit older than him, and she has been photographed with his wife's family years ago. However, it could be Olivia Palmaro. She was a socialite and fashion influencer. She was on The Making of a Beauty Queen, where she talks about the society that her and Paris Hilton, Nikki Richie were all a part of when they were attending Diddy parties and other high society events. Justin Bieber also attended these events. Other people have also speculated that the bread facing Justin Bieber is a symbolism for himself. It is white bread, which is a term for a Caucasian, and there's a cherry sitting on it, which in our society has often been used in symbolism as virginity. The term popping your cherry is often referred to as losing your virginity. Here's some other symbolisms of using the cherry in pop culture, most widely used in Disney on young stars. Here we zoom to a of who I presume is the Clintons. You see a pineapple, which often refers to swingers, and you see Bill in the sunglasses and Hillary classically in blue. Here we go back to the video and we see a man who's unidentified, and then back to a shot of Hillary sitting down at the table with Justin. Here are some photos of Bill with Justin. I believe the table representing his sex life. And then we see another person who sits down at the table. I think this could possibly be his manager, Scooter. He's had some interesting photos taken with Scooter. They seem very close. And yeah, there's some other reasons why I think that might be. Anyways, then we jump back over here to some more jelly food. This, like I said, could be Tyrian. Or Tyrian, however it's pronounced. As you know, people who are wealthy eat all kinds of very strange looking foods that are supposed to be very delectable. Here we go to a wide shot of the table, and you can see a collection of food from all over the world. Century eggs from China, and croissants, French. We have cheese puffs and French fries from America. And then the lobster possibly from Maine. Then we get a shot of this guy who I presumed that it was Ivoring Azakov, who the reasons for this are the fact that he is a music executive. He's kind of in the shadows, and he has been quoted being Satan by other music performers. Another reason is because he's also included in this photo here, which is very much like him. You can see this photo in Justin Bieber's video, The Ghost of You, where he shows this photo supposed to be his dad. Also in the last shot of the video, he's seen sitting by himself eating the cake. Presumably the cake that is on the Justin Bieber's plate. Also, he hosts only men's gatherings once or twice a year, and Scooter Braun, Justin Bieber's manager, has been seen going and attending those parties. There is another possibility that this person represents Clive Davis. He has been known to be around P. Diddy, and people have been recorded stating that they believe that he was P. Diddy's ringleader. He's also been photographed with lots of similar people and is a music executive. Take a look at the background of this photo. We see Hillary and Bill with the red liquid, and then this photo zoomed in, I believe, is Britney Spears. And then we have another look, and at the table there is the Molecular Zero from Richard Quinn print, and I believe that this could represent Willow Smith. The reason I believe that is because of the hairstyle. She was young when she got into the industry, but she would have been a part of an elite family already. But it could possibly be Naomi Campbell, who did work with Tommy Hilfiger and Richard Quinn. She was readily photographed with P. Diddy at his parties, but Willow Smith also attended these parties. She was also the thumbnail for the beginning of the video, and we see her pictured here with these two gentlemen who I have several guesses on who they could be. One of them would be this guy who is the designer for Chanel, who she models for that agency, and also possibly Tim Dubois, who is photographed with Clive Davis, is a music executive. Also, Alessandro Michel, I believe, is the guy in the pink suit. He has long hair, kind of looks like Jared Leto. He has been notoriously at these gala events and in and around that area. He stepped down from Chanel. And we see that Willow Smith had signed her first modeling contract when she was only 15 years old. When she was 13, she was in a relationship with a man who was 20, and her family was reported to family services because of this. Now, let's talk about her brother. Justin Bieber has had a long-standing relationship with Jaden Smith, and Jaden Smith, he got emancipated from his parents at only 15 years old, and we can only imagine why. looking at his relationship to his father, who was often photographed kissing him when he was very young in public, in front of camera, and even as he got older and was a young man. Jordan Smith reacts to this kissing and what they call public displays of affection, saying that he was uncomfortable with it, and he also reported his dad attending only men's parties or referred to them as gay parties. Now, this is speculation, but his family has been rumored to be swingers for a very long time, having more rumors about them than any other couple in Hollywood. Now, you can pause to read some of these articles or do a little research on your own. Now, the thumbnail for this video is a picture of this girl. That's why I think it's so significant. She's also seen with a pineapple upside down cake, where upside down pineapples represent swingers. Here we also see the pineapple on Bill and Hillary's table. So I think that this is some symbolism here relating to swingers. Now we go to this scene. In the background, there's these two in crowns, and I did think at first that maybe this was relating to like the Hiltons and like Nikki Richie and that, but actually I do know two brown-haired princesses, and they're in the royal family. And I know this sounds far-fetched, but actually recently there came some new developments from the P. Diddy scandal. There's linking the royal family to P. Diddy, and we've seen this with the Jeffrey Epstein case. You can pause to read these articles. I'm not really going to get into it. Anyways, they're seen here behind the Clintons, and I think that links them to their position of power. In the background of this scene, we see a woman with a powdered wig, a woman wearing black, and a woman with a man with a red bow tie and black hair. I think this is to represent Kirsten Dunst. She appeared in Marie Antoinette, and there were some other characters with her. Jason Schwartzman also was in that movie, and he was famous for his acting in the Grand Budapest Hotel. You can see here with the red bow tie. Jason Schwartzman here without any hair on his face. It looks very similar to that man. And then there was this woman, Aurora Clement, who was also in that show. If we go back to the background of this photo, we can see the guy with the white cowboy hat. And here as well, you can see there's decorations on his shirt. There was Jason Schwartzman and possibly Brad Paisley. And then there was the woman in the yellow, which was Alicia Silverstone, made that outfit famous. And we can see it was used on other Hollywood stars, especially Harry Styles. Now, in the background of this photo, you can see the girl wearing the white fuzz. She's also pictured here later in the party scene around the woman we believe to be Barbara Walters and Alejandro Michel, or whatever his name is. Anyways, don't come for me. But I think this is Hailey Bieber now, but yeah, her family has ties with Barbara Walter from back when she was a baby, and I think I posted that photo earlier in the video, maybe later in the video. Anyways, and in the background you can see her with Kendall Jenner. They're talking. You can see the zebra pants here, and these two are known to be friends. So I think that's also to symbolize who is who here. This video seems to group people together in kind of social circles. And yeah, you can see the guy in the back with the blue jacket. Could be Jason Derulo, but it also could be Drake. He does wear a lot of blue and hangs out in those circles. And then here we see Justin Bieber with the lobster. Now, this is interesting because he's making the I love you sign, and here we see this from Friends and the I love you sign. This is where I think that Selena and Justin are communicating. He would be calling her his lobster, and she is known to love Friends. They've often communicated through songs, and yeah, so I think that was directed at Selena. And then here we see the guy in the blue. It could be Will Ferrell or William Ferrell. Pharrell William, I don't know. Anyways, he was known to go to P. Diddy parties. He also worked with Britney Spears on a song that was, interestingly enough, called I'm a Slave for You. So, you know. And then it could also be Drake, just he also has similar outfits, also went to P. Diddy parties, hung out in those circles. So, like I said, there could be multiple people that some of these outfits could be describing. But yeah, and then Britney Spears. And then here we see this guy in the background here between the two. And I think that could be symbolizing Britney's manager. Then there's the girl sitting with the black hat. That could be Lady Gaga. And then Will Ferrell could have been the person with the pink hat. It's hard to say with some of these costumes. Then it goes back to the scene of the boy, and then it flashes to a cat on the table. And this cat is not just any cat, but it's a kitten. And it has a collar, and it's a Bengal cat, which is a type of Asian leopard cat. And leopard print has been used synonymously in pop culture, but also it was famous in the 40s and 50s for the sexual image of pinup girls. Here we can see how lots of stars wear this type of leopard print. It's readily used in pop culture. I don't know if that's just a fad thing, but there's also this term sex kitten, which obviously you can pause here and read the definition from Urban Dictionary, but there is a whole underground of people who are involved in this type of BDSM type thing. And there's also this article that touches on this type of, I don't know if I can really say it here, but you can pause and read this article. And then here's some other photos that kind of go with that article. Different stars who have had this type of imagery within their music videos, along with like the caged cat look has often been portrayed, and people say that this is supposed to symbolize a certain type of obedience, and this is how they create altars and triggers. You can pause and read that. Also, these are some tattoos that are included. So I've included these tattoos because of the similarities between the artists who have them. Justin Bieber, these are his tattoos. You can see there's the white lion or tiger, and then he has the Mickey Mouse glove. He has the star, the olive branches. He has a red rose with thorns on his neck. He also, on the other side of his neck, has the bluebird. And on this arm, he has an owl with the key. There are certain ones, I don't have any idea what they mean, but here's the bluebird on his neck. And then Harry Styles also has the bluebirds. He has the moth or butterfly tattoo on his stomach. And then on his arm, he has the rose. He also has the anchor on his arm as well. Lots of crosses. They do have the crosses, and then the like olive branch type tree symbolism. Then on the back of Miley Cyrus's arm, she also has the rose, and on her wrist she has the anchor. On Travis Scott, he has the white tiger. He also has the anchor on his head, along with the bluebird on his chest. You can see under his chain there. And then we talk about Drake Bell, who also has the moth or butterfly. He has lightning bolts, the white tiger, and he also has the Mickey Mouse. He has the anchor on his arm as well, and the lightning bolts. And he also has this leopard with the blood, and I think Justin Bieber also has the leopard. He has these arrows in a cross or an X along with that, and then a skull cut open with straws coming out of it. This is important because there's a practice used by slave owners to brand their slaves and show their ownership. This has become popular. It was old-fashioned, but it's becoming more mainstream now, with human traffickers tattooing girls' necks with their initials or putting it on their thigh using a barcode tattoo and other symbols like that. In this video by Raining Rivers Ministry, she talks about the symbolism within the Sound of Freedom, the butterfly symbolism, and she also touches on the three-pronged crown symbolism, which was also used in the movie. Yes, so you should check that out. And here's Selena Gomez with those Mickey Mouse gloves on, and Justin Bieber's arm tattoo has those same gloves. So I think that's interesting. But anyways, that's just kind of a side note. Back to the video, we see this man who's like eating food off the fork. And I know that this might not be right, but Johnny Depp is really famous for having the mustache and goatee. And yeah, so I think maybe that could have been pointing to him, as well as here we have who I believe is Willow Smith. And you can see she has hazel eyes, just like Willow Smith has hazel eyes. And then we go back to this photo where they start the dance party. Everybody's starting to dance, and the guy in blue, he could also be Trey Songz. His hair kind of matches a little bit. So there's another theory to that one. And then Justin Bieber's face change kind of happens right around here, where you can tell he's kind of on some sort of hallucinogenic drug. We don't know if it's in the food he ate or if somebody there gave it to him. But either way, he is beginning to become intoxicated. Now, this is where we start to talk about how sex trafficking happens, how individuals are forced into sex trafficking and into the sex trade. So here we talk about people and victims can often be defrauded or physically forced to provide this service. They are usually lied to, assaulted, threatened, manipulated, and work under illegal circumstances or in inhumane circumstances. This is a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry. Now, traffickers usually employ a very numberous amount of tactics. It can be emotional abuse, threats, isolation from friends and family, threatening family members. There's also grooming, which is called love bombing, or Romeo pimp. Anyways, we've seen this with Justin Bieber when he was in his interview with P. Diddy, offered cars and a mansion. The use of tattoos often symbolizes ownership. Now, we also would have seen the love bombing when Justin Bieber was given the $100,000 car by Ellen DeGeneres. They also use drugs, so traffickers will exploit an existing addiction that a victim might have in order to keep them in control and basically offer them the drug of choice, and then it helps them cope with the trauma. We've seen this with Etta James, who was a part of the band called Peaches, which is interesting because Justin Bieber has a song called Peaches, but Etta James basically became a heroin addict, and everything that she made off of her records, she put towards her drugs and ended up prostituting herself to people in exchange for her drug of choice. And that was because obviously even with the money she was making, it was all going down the drain. And now I think it's interesting because Justin Bieber has had a troubled past and has been addicted to drugs, and I think that may have been exploited. Here we see the people with the pink napkins, and they're coming to take basically the girls down, and I think that this is showing that they are like being together, right? And then it goes to this clip of the roof, which is like painted, and you see these types of paintings in France, Italy, also in the Sistine Chapel, so London. We also have this kind of stuff in Washington, higher end places. Now, while we're talking about the scenery, back here you can see some columns, and then there's also these statues here in the back. And I just want to point them out because I think they're an interesting choice. This one is what is known as a carotid. I'm going to butcher it, but it's fine. Anyways, basically, it's a column pillar to support like a building on their head. And you can pause to read more about it. There's some in the British Museum from the original 6, and it's basically a woman holding a basket on her head. They were said to worship Archimedes, who was a sister to Apollo, and it was also commonly held knowledge that they were worshiping her through this dance and of like for the walnut tree, which I thought was strange because it kind of links it to the whole QAnon thing, because walnut was supposed to be like a code word. But anyways, you can read here about who Archimedes is. And then we get into kind of the Podesta emails. People believe that the walnut sauce related to this. And there's these emails. You can look them up if you want to see them, because the photos I have are a little bit grainy, but they basically talk about pasta and pizza and cheese. And on the Federal Bureau, there were these code words that were posted, and then people talked about the pineal gland being the walnut. Now, it does look similar to a walnut or, say, a pine nut, but I thought that it was interesting that these women would dance around and worship the walnut tree. Here we can see an article where a user on Reddit has wrote about this type of thing, and since then a lot of the information about the chrome is been changed. Now we go to a picture here and see the guy in the background with the massive mohawk, and this is Travis Barker, and these are some of the tattoos that are on his body. We have the crests, the leaves, the bluebird, the rose. He also has a skull and bones, and some tattoos on his face and cheeks. His whole back is tattooed, which is interesting, more cross symbolism. And he also has a huge tattoo that says hope, but lots of roses and different symbols there. Then we see this kid sitting here. I believe the closeness of the two means that this is Landon Barker, his son. You can see the skull and bones. He has a tattoo that says pray for me. Here on his arm, he has a lot of other tattoos. You can't quite see him, but he has the crown, he has the bird as well, and the butterfly motif. And then in the background of the picture, we can see this is Apollo, I believe, and you can read a little bit about Apollo here. Apollo has been related to being the sun god, and the worship of the sun god has been known through all sorts of generations. You can pause to read a little bit about the sun god if you would like. And the Aztecs also worshipped the sun through sacrifices. This seems similar-esque to some of the imagery that was at Epstein's Island. As you can see here, they had the big sundial, but it also contained this image of the sun. Then they had the compass, and they also had the temple with the dome, which has decorations from Aleppo. Anyways, here when we look at the sundial, sorry, my kids are making this difficult. Anyways, this is the 16-sided sun, I believe. It's a Masonic symbol, and you can see lots of this imagery in the buildings that these people are in. I also just want to note here that Apollo is known for the golden quiver and arrows, and is also the god of song and dance. There's also this. These are at the Delphi, where those other women are from. It's a kind of like leopard looking thing, which reminds me of some of these tattoos. These, though, I do think might be the white tiger, and this is the leopard here on Drake Bell. Now we go to this image of them all dancing, and in the background we see this guy who is P. Diddy. He hangs out in the back. You can see he has these big parties, and he is actually dressed kind of like a waiter in this video. I think that's to symbolize that he's actually more of like a gatekeeper or something. As you can see, Aaron Carter was attended those parties. He is said to have died from drowning. There's people who say that he was SA'd by his family, and also, you know, Paris Hilton. I did some digging into Pammy Hilton's Instagram page. Here you can see a lot of imagery, including white rabbits, little kid shows, ballerinas, and of course Mickey Mouse and bows and ribbons. She has this song on her page. It's linked, and it's all about the black swan, white swan thing, and it really relates to having like an alter personality. This is her little brother with more kind of demonic stuff on his Instagram, and then their mom with the Mickey Mouse face in their house, and of course the Masonic tiling on the floor. Britney Spears has been seen at P. Diddy parties as well. I'm not really going to get into Britney Spears. She's well covered to possibly have dissociative identity disorder. Here's P. Diddy with girls who have shirts that say Rich Daddy. You know, he's also known as Puff Daddy, and pimp names and terminology call a pimp daddy. The game, the life, or the industry is a subculture of prostitution complete with rules, hierarchy, authority, and language. Referring to it of acting pimp as the game gives the illusion that it can be fun and easy way to make money, when in reality it is much harsher. Women and girls may say that they've been in the life. Family and folks is a term used to describe individuals also under the control of the pimp or the daddy, while the group fulfills the need for a family. Here's some other terminology. A circuit might be a series of cities or places that person is brought to. We often hear of these types of circuits within the industry as well. And then branding or tattoo is a carving on a victim and indicates the ownership by the trafficker, pimp, or gang. Here we see some girls in white kind of lingerie, and then we see the girls basically bowing down and worshiping him. And these girls kind of look similar to the girls in the video wearing white. The rapper mogul Sean Combs is facing mounting legal trouble as the federal agents search his properties in Los Angeles and Miami as part of a sex trafficking investigation. Back to the video, we see this guy dancing on the table. And I'm going to get into like a whole synopsis of what I think is being conveyed throughout this video. But for now, let's just focus on who some of these people are. So I really believe that this person is Benny Blanco. And he has done the song Lonely with Justin Bieber, and he's now currently shacked up with Selena Gomez. And so here's a big shot of like everybody, and I'm sure we missed some people, but they're either in the entertainment industry or executives. Now here at the end, we see this shot. Lights on the table have all gone out except for two, where P. Diddy is and where this music executive is. Also, what is noted by people, the pink scarves possibly representing prostitution are now laying everywhere, or possibly meaning virginity or purity, innocence. Here we see Diddy, who I think is more of a gatekeeper. You can see the definition is someone employed to keep people from coming through the gate or getting to higher positions of power. Now we see Ivering, or the Davis fellow, eating the cake at the back where the light is on to draw attention to him. Clive Davis has been pictured with P. Diddy and a bunch of other stars that we highlighted in this video. Here we see him with Flavor Flav, and then the cake is shown at the end of the video, which happens to be a fruit cake, which can symbolize somebody who is into homosexuality. Then we see Bieber on the plate with a bunch of other symbols. We see the word yummy means someone who is attractive, and there's also 5 dice symbolized by the bread and cheese, which we'll get into in a bit. But note this owl tattoo with the key on Justin Bieber's arm. Here is P. Diddy holding a key. This key has an owl symbol on it and is synonymous with the owl symbol Moloch for Bohemian Grove. Here, this artist on YouTube called Dancer1 broke into Bohemian Grove. You can see a locked door and he enters into a room. It has kid-sized beds and some very peculiar images on the wall. This poster says cremation care. And yeah, the room is filled with these kind of posters. You can't really see because of the lighting, but that's Dancer1 on YouTube, and it's his second time in Bohemian Grove. You can read more about Bohemian Grove, and I would encourage you to look into Skull and Bones as well. Here we're going to just take a look a little bit more of some of the cherry symbolism and the Doas lions. And then here's some other symbols. They like to use teddy bears. You can see the Balenciaga ad for more on that. And then the all-seeing eye, the crown, the hearts, flowers, especially cherry blossoms. Here we can see more of the cherry on young girls. And yeah, this is the Good Time Hotel. Also ice cream, skull and bones, cherries, more cherries, the bird, the cross, pineapple. Obviously this was in Dice Canada, and there's just so much symbolism within their stuff, like the diamonds and the cherry. diamond supposedly symbolizing a diamond worker. If I can clarify what a diamond worker is, it's just basically like somebody who is an elite worker or a diamond, right? Like they're expensive. You can see Justin Bieber also has a diamond tattooed on his wrist. There's plenty of pictures with Jay-Z holding up a diamond, doing like a symbol with his hand. Anyways, there's so much information here and too much to like really get into in this video, so I'm just going to give it a quick synopsis, sort of like try to draw some like strings together and conclude from this. But what we are seeing in this video is a party to a degree, but there's also kind of alluding to satanic families, or I don't even know if we want to call it satanic, but people who are in, I would like to say, gangs, especially. One of the biggest gangs in the US is the Latin Kings, and they do tattoo their gang members with crowns and lions, which is interesting because Justin Bieber has that tattooed on him. There are other, obviously, I would call them gangs, not brotherhoods, because they are moving in a criminal syndicate. And we see this with the Skull and Bones, with the Bohemian Grove, and, other things like that. The problem with a lot of this is it kind of is pointing back to people who are very wealthy and possibly, in royalty around the world. Now, I want to break down a few things from the lyrics in Justin Bieber's song. There's a point where he says 50-50, love the way you split it, babe. I think that this is interesting because 50-50 has been a term used in the film industry to film somebody when they're not paying attention. The director might say to the cameraman, hey, 50-50. So they know to film whatever the actor is doing at that time because they want to get like a candid shot without them noticing and then going into like acting mode. So that's interesting considering P. Diddy having cameras around his home. And then Split also is interesting because there's the movie called Split, and it's all about DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, which is kind of what this is all alluding to, is that these people get this kind of mental illness from being subjected to certain kinds of abuse. And we've seen this with Britney Spears. You can look up like Britney Spears spinning on YouTube or Britney Spears interview, and you can see like when the interviewer asks her a certain question, she all of a sudden like changes personalities, which is really bizarre. Anyways, and another thing I'd like to discuss is the red liquid that's seen only on certain people's plates or at their seating spot. Something interesting to note is when Justin Bieber has the girl who we think is Willow Smith sitting at the table, she doesn't have red liquid in front of her yet. And the boy, who's Landon Barker, has red liquid sitting in front of him already. So it's interesting to see because it's kind of like these people and these children are born into these families who are already participating. And what we're talking about is a large crime, but gang syndicate, right? Like they function in the way that they make up rules, and their rules are very harsh. That's where the term like draconian rules come from. And basically it's if you do anything, you're dead. So it's surprising to see that Justin Bieber hasn't received more backlash from this, but I do think that P. Diddy being exposed is part of the reason why he's gone a little bit dark on the internet, because a lot of things are going to start falling apart for the people that are surrounding him because of what he's done through this video. Justin Bieber is an incredibly intelligent person. No wonder filming this video was incredibly difficult. I think that there was a lot of symbolism and a lot of thought and time went into this video. I really encourage you to take a deeper look at this video. And if you have any thoughts on who some of these people could be, let me know in the comments. But yeah, this is just wild considering what's happening with P. Diddy right now and how many people in this video look like actual people in the real world. And I think it is really alluding to the type of crimes that are going on. Justin Bieber was also caught stating that he went to one of these parties and he was offered a deal that would have been a step up from being a millionaire to a billionaire.